Peace and blessings, family. You're tuned in to the Mind of an Entrepreneur show. I'm your host, Sajdah Wendy Muhammad, and tonight we're going to talk about being a champion. So sit back, tune in, get you something to drink, sip on, and we'll be right back. You're tuned in to the Mind of an Entrepreneur show with your host, myself, Sajdah Wendy Muhammad. I am a multi-million-dollar business developer. I have developed business and real estate around the world, and I want to share with you my mental strategies, my technical strategies, and how I made it in the world of business. So I don't teach theory. I tell you about my life and introduce you to people who can also share with you what they've done to become successful. This is a practical show. This ain't a theory show. You don't want to miss it. So stay tuned.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judgest, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
The Supreme Being chose each one of you. And I defy you to argue that with me. I would take you one-on-one and prove from what comes out of your mouth that he chose you. Going up in your background, even into your madness, and showing you the way he took you. You didn't guide yourself out that madness. You couldn't have got here on your own.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Sister Sajdah. I want to tell you all about our Sajdah House summer tours and fundraising events. Because you are a friend of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House Museum, you are being given a unique sneak peek into this sacred renovation and restoration. The house remains under construction as we inch closer to the finish line. We appreciate your support and look forward to seeing you this summer. So click the link in the bio or just go to Eventbrite and search Sajdah House Summer Tours and Fundraising Events. Peace and blessings, family. Welcome to the Mind of an Entrepreneur show. I'm your host, Sajdah Wendy Muhammad. For those of you who don't know the history, sometimes I like to just give you the history of this whole podcast and Mind of an Entrepreneur movement. Okay, so let's see. Back in 2009, my father made his transition, and I decided the year of his transition to begin to kind of come out of the woodwork a little bit. I was deep off into corporate, doing a lot of traveling. And while I was on the road, I started blogging and doing a podcast. And at that time, I was just working through my own money psychology, excuse me, a bunch of stuff. And so there's tons of content on Blog Talk Radio. And then rolling forward, I then was on WOL Radio in Washington, D.C. with the show on Wednesdays. Started off as a 30-minute show and then became a 1-hour show. And then I moved back to Chicago and started doing Instagram Lives and highlighting Black Muslims in business in an effort to develop the directory and help to build this ecosystem among us as conscious entrepreneurs, right? And so we expanded to Spotify. So I got stuff out there on Spotify and Audible and YouTube and Facebook and things like that. And so we're working on the next phase for the Mind of an Entrepreneur show here. So thank you to you all who have just been supporting and just been there. And one of the things that's important to me, something I realized a long time ago, was that I had a lot of incredible experiences that I just felt like people needed to hear about. I felt the calling to really share those experiences and to share how I was kind of able to merge in my spirituality with being a professional in business and how to do that. And so I just started sharing. And I've written 1 or 2 shows a week, original shows from my brain since then. And so I got tons of content out there. So welcome to those of you in the chat. Before we move on, I just wanted to say, well, let me say something to y'all in the chat first, okay? I see you, Sister Lanisha. She said, peace and blessings, Sister Sajdah. Peace and blessings to you, Sister Lanisha, Sister Zakia. Wa alaikum salam. Who else we got? Fashionista Christina. We got the sisters in the house. Y'all know what? Since I started doing the Women of the Bible series, I've been getting way more sisters. I'm so excited about it. Not to dish you all, brothers, because brothers have carried me and been over 60% of my following since I was on radio. It has always been the brothers that hold a sister down. But here lately, look like the sisters coming for me. All right. Sister Dawn, welcome. Wa alaikum salam. Sister Alita, wa alaikum salam. Peace and blessings. Okay. I see some more of you all who are here that are not in the chat. Praise be to Allah. So this week, one of the champions, all right, brother Frank Muhammad, he said, my sister Wendy, Frank Muhammad, praise be to Allah. One of the champions of our nation made his transition, Brother Minister Jabril Muhammad. And I don't know how much you all know about Brother Jabril, but there's so much to him. But in a cliff note, he is the angel that convinced the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to stand back up, and that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was still alive. And one thing about Brother Jabril, that no matter where I would see him, I didn't know him, but when I would see him in person, I think I was at one dinner at the palace one time where he was there, and I was in his presence when I went to something one time with Mother Tinetta. But I always felt the presence of Almighty God. Just in listening to him talk and listening to him share his experiences about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, just an incredible champion. And so I started thinking about championship. And it's funny how these topics evolve for me. You all know I do a lot of coaching. And so I coach people usually during the week. And I'm always having to remind people that they are a champion. I say, you're a champion. You've overcome. I had that little clip that I played of Brother Jabril saying that the Supreme Being chose you. You're here for a reason. We know the story. You hear the minister tell the story about how of all the millions of sperms that are out there, the one that made you made it to the egg and fertilized the egg. So you were born in that kind of struggle. You're already a champion just to be here. But since you've been here, you've been a champion. You've overcome so many odds. You've overcome so many things that most people didn't expect you to overcome. Some people saw you go through some stuff that was so bad that they didn't even think they'd ever see you again. Some of your haters were so happy when you went through whatever that you went through that they was like, I know I ain't gonna see her again. I know I ain't got to look up in his face again. But guess what? You're here. You're back, better than ever, having triumphed. You're a champion. And so I just want to talk about that today. And I want you all to type in the chat, in your mind, what is a champion? Because many of us can remember a time where we faced what our emotions made us think was almost impossible. See, the champion that you are is already up inside of you. But what happens is the emotions and all the things that we go through, yes, type in the chat what a champion is to you. The emotions and the things that we go through make us forget who we are. And I don't want to be too preachy about this today. There's some great videos online about, championship and all of this kind of stuff. But I really want to talk to us just on a practical level. Y'all know how we do. We just gonna sit down, and I wish we was all together in front of a fire and just chit-chatting and talking about the champion in you, the champion in me. And the fact that we forget. Miss Awana said a winner, an overcomer. Yeah, but what does that mean to win? Some of you all have beat illness and sicknesses. Some people had COVID and it was so bad they didn't think they was going to make it, but they made it. Some people have had car accidents and escaped without a scrape. They made it. Some people was going through school, studying for a test, and you didn't think you was going to pass. You didn't even think you was going to graduate, but you made it. Lanisha said perseverance, determination, strong-minded. That's right. You persevered. You were determined. See, being a champion means you set your intention for whatever it is that you want, and you become relentless about getting it. And your goals are so much bigger than yourself that you have no choice but to be determined and strong-willed in order to make it. Some of you have been through some crazy things, domestic violence, drug abuse, all kinds of stuff, but you made it. And so then you start facing little things like, okay, I want to open a business, and you're struggling. We get on the coaching calls and you start talking about how this person did this to you and that. I said, you are a champion. You wouldn't be here today if you weren't a champion. In fact, about it, Black people, I know y'all saying, well, you always bring race into it and religion, because I want to and because it's relevant. Black people are the ultimate champions. We are in a position sitting here right now today in 2023 in a country that brought us here as slaves, created all kind of propaganda, civil rights, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, blah, 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 you name it, against us. War on drugs, taking away jobs, all kind of stuff, but we still here. And there's more of us making money and getting it today than there ever has been in the past 400 years. We got more millionaires today than we ever had. There's a lot of us out here getting money and doing well. We're champions. You come from a championship people. So don't let folks feed you that gloom and doom. Let's see, Sister Zakiya saying, Walaikum salam, Sister Sandra. The champion in me is the God in me. The champion in me is the one work through unseemingly unfair circumstances, but choose not to become a product of the circumstances. Black people are the ultimate champions. That's right. Yeah, it is the God in you. But see, this is the thing. This is what happens to us. We believe in the God outside of us, but most of the time we don't believe in ourselves. We don't believe in the God within. We don't believe in it. And so we walk around. And so we're going to go through today. We're going to go through some of the strategies that are oftentimes used against us. They're abusive techniques that are used in society, intentionally or unintentionally, to make us forget that we're champions. And this is the kind of thing, it's just like in a relationship. If you understand the signs of abuse, then you can be healthy and put your boundaries up. What happens is we don't know the signs of abuse. We don't know the abuse when it's coming and we get tricked. And then it becomes a major struggle for us to get out of it. Many of those techniques are used when it comes to the psychology of us as human beings, but especially of us as Black people, Black men and Black women. So let me get my note here. I want y'all to take notes. There's 8, I'm going to call them abuse techniques that allow someone, society, or circumstances to take power and control over the champion in you. Okay. Number 1 is the use of intimidation. The use of intimidation. Okay. Why is that important? Why do we have to talk about the use of intimidation? The use of intimidation, because society has so many things set up to intimidate us. Just look at the news. You see people playing over and over again videos of people being murdered who look like us, people being killed who look like us, people being abused who look like us, over and over and over again, to the point where we get intimidated. So intimidation says to the champion in you, you better not come out or else. It's a threat. See, the champion is saying, man, I want to be great. I want to come out. I want people to see me as a champion. But then all the things that you're intimidated by pop up and push the champion back down. I don't really want nobody to talk about me. I don't know if I want to be in that position. I get it all the time from people. People say, girl, you really got a lot of courage to do some of the things that you're doing. Don't you get intimidated? I said, no, because if I didn't get intimidated, if I got intimidated, then I wouldn't be a champion. God wouldn't be able to use me the way he can use me, because he knows that I'm not afraid and I'm not easily intimidated. I was raised like that, not to be easily intimidated, not to be afraid all the time. Of course, there's fear, but how to work through it and have courage. So intimidation Okay, making you afraid to be beautiful, making you be afraid to take certain actions, making you afraid and have you start anticipating different things that could happen and might happen. So you just play it safe. You just dress safe. You get a little cute, but you just dress safe. You don't make any big moves because you don't want nobody to say nothing about you. You don't take on a big client because you're afraid to fail. You ain't gonna step out and do nothing big because you're afraid that if you step out and do that one big thing, then that other thing that you're intimidated by may raise up. Here's an example. I have people literally call me and say, you are going to ruin your career if you build this Honorable Elijah Muhammad House Museum. And I said, which is it? I'm going to ruin my career because it's Elijah Muhammad or because it's preservation of urban historic properties? Guess what? Somebody got to do it. And the only way through to greatness is through the trial, through the difficulty. I could sit back and play it safe and be cool, but what is that going to really get me? What is that going to really get me? What is that going to really get me? Is that going to get the God to jump up and say, hey, let me take care of her and let me protect her? Or what if I just stay safe and just be quiet and just chill out? Don't do too much. Don't buck the system. See, these are intimidation tactics that are used to destroy the champion in us. That was number one, intimidation. The second one is emotions and emotional abuse. So as soon as your champion decides, I'm going to step out here, I'm going to do this, somebody says, what you think you're doing? You ain't going to make no money doing that. You should stay at your old job. I don't know why you're doing that. Only way you're going to be successful at that is if such and such happen. And so they start making you feel like you're crazy and like, playing mind games with you. That's a big thing that happens when you work on these big projects. People play mind games. They come around. Oh yeah, I'm going to do this and I'm going to call so-and-so. I want to support. I want to do this or that. And you never hear from them again. Okay. Or people make you feel guilty. Like, man, that's a big project. And you probably could have did something else with that money. Like, I don't know. It's huge. It's just emotions. People try to hurt your feelings and use emotions. What's the goal? To reduce the champion inside of you. See, that champion knows that it's got to have courage. That champion can overcome anything that's placed in front of her. That champion can win at just about anything that he takes on. Why? Because the mere fact that he's inspired by Allah to take it on says that there's a way. Allah don't give us nothing that we can't bear and that we can't handle. But it's the emotions that come up as a result of the actions of other people, the things that other people, what they do, what they say, and how we emotionally interpret it, that kills the champion within us, intimidates us, gives us that nasty emotional fear. And then we go, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and sit down somewhere because this ain't going to work. That's emotional abuse. Here's another thing that happens that can rattle a champion sometimes is when a person or people who control a situation, they try to isolate you or limit your connection to people in all. This happens a lot of times in offices. If you are a champion, you come into the job, then the people who are around you, they try to limit your actions and your contacts with certain people. They limit your involvement with certain people who can really support you. They really isolate you. And see, isolation can be a form of abuse because when you feel like, man, I'm in solitary confinement, I'm isolated, then the champion Because see, the champion feeds on overcoming something, but you don't even give the champion anything to overcome because you're isolated. Your activity is limited. Your involvement is limited. Okay. And then those people, that president, that key people, they then jump in with the fear to make you just go, oh man, I think I might be better off isolated. Because they don't want, listen, if they're trying to control you and control the other people, they don't want the champ moving up in and around with the folks. They don't want the champ roaming around the office or rolling around the neighborhood. How motivating was it for people who used to say they would just see Muhammad Ali jogging down the street? That's motivating. You got people saying, go ahead, champ. Well, you're a champion. They don't want you moving amongst the people that they trying to control. See, just the very energy of a champion can awaken the dead. Just the sight of a champion can make people go, you know what? I feel better. See, when I come on here and tell you my stories of triumph and things that I've been through, I don't tell you that to brag about myself. I tell you that to motivate you. Because I hope you look at me and say, she did it. I can do that and then some. And you absolutely can. But the energy of a champion, the champion changes the environment that they're in. The champion moves a certain way that's so smooth and attractive and so majestic that anybody that sees the champion is motivated. The champion smells like success. The champion vibrates at a vibrational level that is so fertile that if you just sit next to the champion, it's going to change your life. So people don't like the champion moving around. They go, you know what? We got to isolate the champ. And so isolation is that tool. Okay. So we started with intimidation. There's emotions or emotional abuse or the use of emotions. Can be emotional blackmail. It could be creating things that send you into emotional hijack. It could be emotional bullying. Then there's the use of isolation. And then there's the use of, I call it like minimizing who you are. Okay. So if you try to say, well, you know what? I know I'm better than that. Then they minimize it. I don't know. Not really. Everything you say gets minimized. That's a minimization tactic. This comes from people. It happens in society when we file lawsuits against the broader community, when white police officers kill us and we don't get justice, then it minimizes our lives. It minimizes our feelings. It minimizes the abuse that's being done to us. So it reduces it. And they make it so small and the brainwashing becomes so powerful that you start becoming numb to it. Because if you responded to it and gave it its, equal amount of emotion, then you wouldn't be able to make it. They could use all these other techniques. So what do? We go numb. We go numb and we allow them to minimize who we are, minimize how we feel, minimize what we do, minimize our desires, minimize our needs, minimize our wants. It's very classic. Happens in society, happens at work, happens in religious organizations, happens in fraternities, sororities, happens in any organization, happens in relationships. There's a minimization that happens. Minimization. I want you to think about that because many of you have things that you feel strongly about. You have things that are hurting you. You have things that are paining you. You have things that keep you up at night, but you don't talk about it because in some way you've come across an ad, you've come across a conversation, you've met somebody that you know is just going to minimize how you feel and what you're doing. So what do? You and your champion, y'all hold that to yourself. And it keeps you from being a champion. Keeps you from being a champion. Y'all with me? Y'all okay? All praises due to Allah. Keeps you from being a champion. It's time out for that. Here's another thing. Here we go again. There's white privilege, right? When you see, this happens a lot, especially when you're in the corporate world. A lot of people who aren't in the corporate world don't always see this as much. You see it on just about every job, but you see it in the corporate world a lot. Let me give you an example. My business partner with the hospital and I used to talk about this. Somebody like myself, who is an entrepreneur. I've built over $500 million worth of businesses. It's verifiable. I got receipts. How did I do that? Most people worked a job, and even if they worked a job like 3 years, 4 years, 6 years, 7 years, that just wasn't my story. I didn't do that. I was a consultant. So I moved around, traveled up and down around the United States, around the world for the majority of my adult career. So I've seen a lot. Generally, if I were white and if I was a white male, I would probably get tapped for a big 8-figure CEO job, whether it's AT&T or some big healthcare conglomerate or an insurance or something. I would probably get tapped for, or would have been tapped for, that kind of opportunity that would have then put me in a position where I would probably have started by now my own Twitter, Facebook, Tesla type of organization. And when I say it like that, I mean, I have organizations that I've started that I'm working on. But what I'm saying is that in terms of that level of recognition and revenue generating. But oftentimes, there's not enough of us as Black people, even though we are the consumers of these companies, that get tapped for those types of opportunities. Some of my colleagues, white guys that I know, that I work with, they get tapped all the time for these big ass projects. I'm talking about projects where they're making 7, 8, 9 million. And these are people that I worked on projects with who know me, people that I hired, who sometimes call me and say, hey, I need your help. Go ahead and send me an invoice, but I need your help on something. These people. We are oftentimes as entrepreneurs doing things that our white counterparts would probably have 6 or 7 people to do. Certain administrative things, certain, financial things, certain things in terms of running the company. My colleagues that have companies have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 employees doing that kind of thing. They don't have the stress, again, because of white privilege, of what we have to deal with oftentimes when we hire our own people. It can be challenging. And so white privilege can also make the champion in you decide they want to just take a nap. Because it's real easy to say, man, this white boy I worked with, he got this, this, and this, or this white lady got that, that, and that. And here I am trying to start my own thing too. But it's a struggle. And so the struggle can make the champion lay down, can make the champion go, it ain't worth it. So that's something else that impacts the champion. I'm giving you practical things for you to notice so that you can work against. And it's as simple, working against it is as simple as the conversations you have with yourself. See, a lot of us are so scared that we're always making tiny goals and making tiny moves and trying to be very careful and take the sure step. But that champion in you, that champion that's the God within, that champion that's connected to the big God, okay, Almighty God, that champion don't need you pinching off its success just because you scared. That champion needs you to be pushing. That champion needs you to say, let's go, let's do it. You should be. I remember one time I had one of these. Okay, so if you know me, you know I'm usually almost always having some type of metaphysical experience, whether it's an out of body experience, whether I'm walking down the street and I see something in my head or I hear something. That's been happening to me since I was a child. One day I was sitting at a light. This is probably kind of a little dangerous. And I saw myself as a horse kicking against the start gate. Boom, 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 boom. Because I just wanted to get out and I just wanted to go and let loose. I didn't want no rider. I didn't want nothing. I just wanted to ride out. That's the champion in me saying, let's go, girl. Let's go, God. That's the champion in you saying, what we waiting on? Why are we sitting around waiting for somebody else to tell us what to do? Why are we sitting around waiting for somebody else to approve of us? Why are we sitting around waiting for somebody else to tell us what to do, how to do, when to do it? You don't need nobody's permission to do good. See, because when your heart is right, the respect will be there. But move out. Allah put you on the planet for a specific reason. You were born here for a reason. Allah has something he wants to say through you. But he can't say it because your champion is laying down. Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. All right, let's go to the next one. The next one is a big one. It's economic abuse. This happens in relationships. This happens in companies, in businesses, happens in organizations, happens in society, where we are. Economics is used as a weapon. What do I mean by that? Can't find a job. Don't have enough confidence in yourself to do for self. Can't go out and do what you want to do when it's little stuff you want to do. Spend $200 on something basic, $50 there. You can't do the small stuff. So the frustration makes your champion lay down. Okay. Can't get enough customers in your business, economic abuse, because you may have a competitor saying, well, we're not going to let her get the customers. We're not going to let him attract the people that he wants. Why? Because we don't want the champion to win. We don't want the little Negroes to see the big Negro win. We don't want that. So we're going to just chip away. We're going to use propaganda against his customers, against his supporters. We're going to lie. You got people right now looking at this podcast lying. Lying on me, lying on y'all in the chat, lying on what they see here, just lying. Why? Because their champion is dead and they want your champion to die. Because you're reminding them of what it is that they know they should be doing. So economics is oftentimes used as a weapon of mass destruction in abusive situations. Abusive situations, meaning between the dominant or the predator and the general population. Sometimes it could be male, female, but that economics is oftentimes used. Take your money from you as soon as you get it, tax it, so many fees, take it away. If you pay late, there's a big late fee. If you want to borrow the money, you got big interest rates. These are forms of economic weaponry that are oftentimes used. Anytime something that's a major investment that comes out and all the Black people rush to invest in it, then they break it down. What does that do? It makes you more skittish, makes you pull back. I ain't investing in nothing else because I invested in such and such, and they took all my money. I ain't doing no other investments, because now your champion is afraid. What happens when your champion dies? What does that say to your children? What does that say to the people around you who are looking at you and hoping that you win? See, I'm real clear that I'm a champion and that there are people looking at me who want me to win. But I also know that as a champion, there are people who overtly and covertly are saying, I don't want her to win. Same thing with you. I'm not by myself here. Talk to me in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. We got to be a champion anyway, because we owe it to Almighty God, Allah. We owe it to our ancestors. We owe it to everybody that has sacrificed us, and to everybody whose shoulders we stand on. We owe it to them to be a champion, to be a continuation of the conveyor belt of champions that have been produced in our race. We owe it to them. We don't have a choice. We don't get to lay down. We don't get to sit down. We got to make a move. That champion's got to raise up. You got to walk like a champion. You got to talk like a champion. You got to carry yourself like a champion. You got to think like a champion. You got to know that you are a winner, because people have been winning for generations and generations and years before you. And the people that produced you were winners. The people who produced the people who produced you, who produced them people, was winners. The God who you are directly related to is a winner. And he didn't bring you here to be a loser. He didn't say, let me just bore this loser into the world. He could have left you off into the universe and left you as universal energy before he created you and just made you a loser. You're not a loser. You're a champion. You are a champion. And in whatever way, you got to recognize your championship. You got to do it. You got to figure it out. You got to have conversations with yourself every day. I always have more than enough. God has never forsaken me. He's always with me. I'm going to die a champion. I'm going to keep going. Nobody's going to stop me. What's the worst that can happen? I got this. I'm going to be okay. I'm not worried about being embarrassed in front of some people who don't even give a damn about me. And if I'm embarrassed in front of the people that I think care about me, then I need to be rethinking that relationship as well. Don't be afraid to let nobody see you work hard. Don't be afraid to let nobody see you sweat. Don't be afraid to let nobody see you lift up something heavy. Don't be afraid. I know people right now who are so afraid of allowing somebody else to see them struggle. Guess what? You're going to see my struggle, but you're going to see me overcome the struggle. So when you look up and you see that I got up and I made it through, then you'll have the courage to make it through yourself. You'll defy the odds, the haters who don't like champions. See, that's all it is you got haters out here who don't like champions, who don't like people like me and you, who don't like winners. Why don't they like winners? They don't like winners because they want to control the masses of the people. And they don't want you rolling out and being an encouragement to the people. Let me tell you something. I remember when I was selling real estate on the West Side, there was a woman, and I can't think of this woman's name. She had been a tax accountant, had worked actually for a big firm, and she got on crack cocaine. And she was a real bona fide crackhead, okay? Sneaking in bathrooms, using cleaning supplies to bathe in. She was a bona fide messed up scratching and itching, walking up and down and up and down and up and down the street, crackhead. You hear me? One day I had an open house, and I was standing in front of the open house because somebody who called, who was trying to find the open house, couldn't find it. So I went outside to go meet them. And she was out there. And she said to me, she said, you know, I used to be just like you. I said, what you mean? She said, I used to be professional. She described herself. I used to wear a suit with a white shirt, just like you. I had on a suit with a white shirt under. She said, I used to be just like you. She said, I used to be pretty like you. I used to be meeting clients. I used to have a cute car like you. And she pulled a pipe out of her pocket. She said, but this motherfucker right here, excuse my language, took me off my square. I said, you know what, sister? I said, you're going to get back on your square. I said, all you got to do is set your intention. I said, I believe you can do it. Because in that moment, as she was talking, I saw her. And I saw the woman she described, and I got the sense that that wasn't the woman from yesterday, but it was the woman tomorrow that she was about to be. And maybe about 2 years later, I had a friend who was working with a development company in Lawndale, and she called me over to see the project. When I got out the car, the person who was getting out their car in front of me was that sister. That everybody was like, she a big crackhead, and was shooing her away. And when I looked at her, she looked so different because she had gained so much weight. When she was having that conversation with me, I want to say maybe she was like 90 pounds. But as we were about to walk up into the building, can't think of, that might be Holman, and it's right off Roosevelt. It was a development corp. We were about to walk into the building. She was walking next to me, and she kept looking at me like this. And I'm double taken, and I recognized her eyes. And I just stopped and broke down and cried. Because when I saw her, I saw the power of Almighty God, Allah. And I was so grateful that I didn't hurt her or dog her, but that I could honestly say that I could look her in her eyes with clean hands and say, I gave her an encouraging word. And she thanked me. And we stood on that sidewalk and cried for a good 2-3 minutes. And went in there, and I didn't even care what the rest of the meeting was, because I was so motivated, because I said, that's a champion. And I've never forgotten her. And when we were leaving out to go out, she said something to me that I use to this day. She said, sister, always ask yourself, what did you show up on the planet to do? I never forgot that. And she said it was that thought that got her up out of the crack house and roaming the streets and eating out the garbage cans and on the curb. Got her up out of that. Where she started thinking about, what did she show up on the planet to do? So economic abuse, drug abuse, these things are real, and they can kill the champion. But if you come back from it, you'll be a bigger champion, a champion that can't nobody stop. And here's the other part of it. When I add to that, you have to always add threats. People are always threatening the champion. Threatening you because they either want to challenge you, threatening you because they either want you to sit down somewhere. But people are always threatening the champion. So coercion and threats are part of the abuse that are impacting the champion inside of you. It's never too late. You can always turn this thing around. Let me tell you something. All it takes is a wink and a nod from Allah, and He can turn your situation around in the twinkling of an eye. I don't care how bad your credit is. I don't care how bad your situation is. I don't care if you ain't got nothing. I don't care if you just trying to overcome something that other people ain't even. I don't care what it is. But if you set your intention and put your trust in Almighty God Allah, He can turn that thing around overnight. You know why? Because your championship is of benefit to Him. God's in the resurrection business. So if you overcome all of what you overcome and you build this big billion-dollar business and you dedicate it to Almighty God Allah, that's to His glory. That helps Him. He came to make Himself known. You and I already here. So He using us to make Himself known. Your champion is His soldier. The champion in you is His soldier. I'm going to say that one more time. Put this in the chat. The champion in you is His soldier. Because if He don't do nothing but raise you up off the ground. Some of y'all say y'all on the floor. If He raise you up off the floor. And what I say, I mean the floor of somebody else's mind. Could be the physical floor or the street like that sister I talked about. It could be the floor of somebody else's mind who think you crazy, who don't believe in what you're doing, who don't want you to do what you're doing, who can't stand you, who always talking about who you was back in the day and they don't even know you because you done grown 1,000,000 times since back in the day. Hell, if you knew me yesterday, you don't know me today because that's how fast I'm growing. The champion in me is God's soldier. Allah can't wait to show y'all this champion. And He can't wait to show the world the champion in you. Let go and be a champion. Be a champion. Champion's just not on the sports field. Champion just ain't in the entertainment field, just whether or not you can sing good or dance good or run fast. A champion is a winner, an overcomer. You a champion. All right, y'all. I said I wasn't going to get preachy, but this just does something to me because I cannot stand it when I'm looking, I know what I'm looking at. When I see the God in somebody got their head down, like the dude on the Green Mile, and he just don't want nobody to see him. I'm like, lift your head up. Put your shoulders back. Stand up. You are a champion, and the champion in you is God's soldier. He needs you and I to stand up. You know why? Because these people ain't paying no attention to him. Otherwise, he gonna probably have to kill him in order to get their attention. So if we stand up, we're saving lives. You being a champion, you don't know how many lives you save. How many people ain't got to die because you gave them the motivation to get themselves together when they learned about your story and who you are. Now they ain't got to die. Their mama ain't got to die. Their cousins ain't got to die. They don't have to get shook and rattled to the core so that they can pay attention. God can say, no. Turn your head, look over here at your sister. Look over here at your brother. Look at what they overcame. So now I don't have to make you hit rock bottom if you're paying attention. I don't have to body slam you. This is God talking. If you're paying attention. I don't have to strangle you and put you in a position that you can't do nothing but just cry out to me if you're paying attention. So that's why it's incumbent upon all of us to tell our story, to step up and show the world. He didn't make us beautiful so we can sit on one of these shelves back here and just go, ooh, look at me, I'm beautiful. He don't care nothing about that. What you're going through is for somebody else. And it's going to save their life. They don't have to hit rock bottom when you show them what God can do. And even if you're suffering in silence, even if people don't know what you're going through in silence, when you get where you're trying to go, You stand up and give your testimony. You stand up and sing his praises because you're going to touch somebody that he's also trying to lift. Oh, the devil don't like that kind of stuff. He don't like that. All right, what y'all saying over here in the chat? That's right, Sister Zakia. The champion in you is God's soldier. Yes, Sister Sandra said that's so powerful. All praises due to Allah. Yes, yes, and yes. The champion, the champion, the champion, the champion, the champion, the champion. The champion in you is God's soldier. You don't know how many lives your resurrection will save. I'm going to say that again. That's somebody's word right there. You don't know how many lives your resurrection has saved or will save. Say it one more time. You don't know how many lives your resurrection will save. You don't know. So stop thinking so little of yourself. Stop minimizing who you are, minimizing your goals, minimizing your desires. Tell your story. It's somebody out there that's going through damn near almost exactly what you're going through, because it ain't nothing new under the sun. They going through what you're going through or going through what you went through. And when you tell them how you overcame, you might save a life or two. Think about that. That's how valuable you are. Your life can save thousands if you tell the story. Don't get up there and get so big-headed like you ain't gonna tell nobody, I always been this fabulous. I always been this or that. Tell your story. Not only will you be saving lives, you put a little money in the bank for yourself. So when you mess up in the future, you got a little mercy in the bank. Come on, somebody. All right, y'all. Thank you all for listening. We're champions. And we got to step up like champions. We got to be champions. So y'all know that on Saturday, the Sajdah Saturday morning coffee talk, I'm working on, I really, really want to do coffee talks every morning. That's really bubbling up in me. You know, like the Breakfast Club. I want us to have coffee talks every morning. I'm working on it. But we're doing now this very powerful series on women in the Bible. We started off with Mary Magdalene. I called it Focus on the Promise Through the Process. Focus on the promise as you're going through the process. Put that in the chat. Focus on the promise as you're going through the process. See, sometimes we go through so much stuff that we forget why we're doing this in the first place, because we make a God out of the process. But the God is the promise. The goal is the promise. Started off with Mary Magdalene. Then we did Shira. She was the woman who built not one city, not two cities, but 3 cities. And then last week we talked about Anna the prophet. Anna the prophet, she cold because she was a prophet who was so close and in the temple, and she prophesied over people's lives. She saw the coming of Jesus and recognized him when she saw him, and then saw his future and the future work that he would be doing. So tomorrow, is it tomorrow? No, Saturday. Today's Thursday. Saturday, we're going to be talking about Hogla. And you know what? Hogla went before Moses and obtained the rights as a woman to own land. If you know anything about Moses, I'd have been scared to death to go up and talk to Moses, but she went to Moses. So we're going to talk about that. That's Saturday, Sajdah Saturday morning coffee talks. All right. Praise be to Allah. Sister Anissa said, my championship is a benefit to him and bear witness to his divine power. The champion in me is his soldier. That's right. The champion in you is his soldier. Your resurrection probably has saved and will save lives. There's somebody looking at you because they've looked at your struggle and your triumph. So now they don't have to hit rock bottom. They don't have to lose. They don't have to be slammed down and tried in a way. You can learn from other people's struggle. So, all right, how many of y'all got y'all tickets how many of y'all coming to the National Training Conference? The National Training Conference, I know I have a presentation. I don't know when it's going to be yet. I'll let you all know. We have tours that Sunday. We have a 12 p.m. and a 2 p.m. tour. So we can't wait to meet you all there. We got a new QR code. It's right here in the corner. You can go there. If you forget it, then just go to my social media pages and click the link in the bio. There's a link to where you can get the tickets. Need to hurry up and get your tickets so that we know that you're coming. We can prepare for you. And support the completion of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House. We got the sales information going across the bottom here. Praise be to Allah. I see people saying they needed to hear that today. I have, we got some sisters, brothers. I see y'all in here today, and I really, really appreciate y'all. We got a video I want to play. Our sisters in Houston in Queendom Come, or with the organization called Queendom Come, they made this video called I Am a Queen. And I want to just close out the show with this 4-minute video. Stay on here and take a look at it and get you some additional motivation. Brothers, listen, y'all gonna benefit when we step up and know who we are. So if you all are watching, I just want to thank all the brothers. 68% of y'all said, how about weekdays, Sajdah Saturday, Sajdah morning shows at 11 a.m. It would be 9 a.m. my time. Oh, weekday. I don't know. I think it needs to be earlier. Y'all don't know? Y'all don't like early? We'll think about it. We'll think about it, sis, Miss Awana. We'll figure it out. Okay, let me put this video on for y'all. Don't y'all go nowhere.
The things you're about to hear are the powerful inner thoughts going on inside of the mind of a queen. This is the inner symphony of royalty, the epic soundtrack of a queen. I was born a queen. I was raised a queen. I got royalty in my bloodline. I've always been a queen. I'll always be a queen. When I close my eyes and die, I will be a queen. On my headstone, they'll write queen. Every time they mention my name, they will say queen. My legacy is royalty. My obituary will read queen. Every time they mention my name, they will say queen, because I am a queen. Every day that I get up, I say, good morning, queen. When I look in the mirror, I see a queen. When I go to the gym, I work out like a queen. When I eat like a queen. And the stuff I read makes me an even better queen. The stuff I put in my mind is righteous, because all day I am a queen. From sunrise to sundown, from the moment I open my eyes to the moment I close them, I am a queen. I pray, I think, I speak, I walk like a queen. No loss, no setback, no mistake will ever change that. I'm a conqueror, born to succeed, anointed to prosper, blessed and unstoppable. And I will arise out of the ashes, because my God will not fail me, because I am, always have been, and always will be a queen. Greater is she that is in me than she that is in the world. I can do all things, because with God, all things are possible. And I am a queen doing the impossible. Failure is not an option. I refuse to concede, because I am a queen when I bleed. My blood is royalty, and anything that stands in my way, I will go through it, over it, or around it, because I am a queen. Nothing can stop, blessed and unstoppable. I am the undefeated, undisputed, never beaten mother of civilization. The world says I'm a loser. I get up every day and go to war with that state. I think I'm lazy. I'm hungrier than ever. queen mode, conquering all competition. Who says I have no money? Money comes to me easily, frequently, and abundantly in God's perfect way. World says I'm crazy. World belongs to the bold. They remind me of the losses I've taken. They said I'll never recover. I serve the God of restoration. I'll make a comeback. They say you can't pay your bills with dreams. Success will come off the assembly lines of my mind. They say I have average talent. Hard work and discipline are the greatest equalizer. Why don't you get a 9 to 5, a normal job that pays every week? Because I'm the head and not the tail, above and not below. Looks like your God has forgotten you. My God will never leave me nor forsake me. You really believe all that stuff you're saying? Destiny is obligated by universal law to concede to the demands of unwavering faith, and I believe I am a queen, committed, hungry, dedicated, fearless, bold, never wavering, full of faith, anointed, prosperous, strong, righteous, focused, disciplined, willing to do whatever it takes to be a queen. I will arise one day to make a believer out of all those who doubted me. I will live with no fear. I will boldly attack the things that scare me. They will not stop me on my destiny. No health issues, no job issues, no financial issues, no relationship issues. Nothing shall stand in the way of my divine calling, because I am a queen. I was born a queen, raised a queen, have always been a queen, will always be a queen. My legacy is royalty. When it's all said and done, on my headstone, Bellwright, Queen.
All right, y'all. All right, queens. Y'all know what to do. Y'all know how to be this week. Let's move out as queens. Let's walk like queens. Let's talk like queens. Let's move like queens. Let's eat like queens. Let's think like queens. Let's move like champions, like the gods that we truly are. Peace and blessings, family. Greetings, conscious entrepreneurs. You now can take the Mind of an Entrepreneur show wherever you go. I'm now available on Spotify. Just search Sajdah Wendy Muhammad. Greetings, conscious entrepreneurs. Add the Mind of an Entrepreneur show to your Roku TV lineup and catch up on past episodes of all your favorite Mo Today shows.